Welcome to the studio today, Mr. Brady. We appreciate you taking the time to talk about your priorities. We know that college and career readiness is well underway, okay? And there's a lot of discussion today about restructuring for student achievement. So I wanted to revisit some aspects of what we call RSA and to get from you an idea of where we are and what's going to come next for folks in this. So could you recap for us what restructuring for student achievement is all about?
Sure, Frank, and thanks you very much for the opportunity to talk to everyone today. You mentioned the two priorities, and let's go back just a second for the College and Career Ready National Standards implementation. And I just want to thank everyone out there. Tremendous work. School level, teachers, ISSs, school administrators, focusing on pre-K through 5 mathematics. It's the beginning, have a long way to go, but what a great start, and I really appreciate everyone's commitment to that. The second piece, as everyone knows, is to restructure the organization to better provide academic support to schools. RSA can sometimes be misinterpreted because what we want to talk about is the echelons above school level. So the intent is to take some of those functions, which are now totally dedicated to business, restructure them, take those positions, and put them on the academic side. And so we can provide additional support to the schools to improve student achievement. So I think it's very critical. And as I think everyone knows, it's the two priorities that we have right now.
And that said, the impact of this, at least on personnel, is not at the school level, but above the school
Correct. The beauty of this is that we are focusing on improving and putting more resources to the school. So at school level and below, there'll be no change other than perhaps increased support. And no perhaps about that. There will be increased support. But at the echelons above school level, it has a tremendous impact. And we're very aware of that because it does impact on people. And this is not something done in a closet. This isn't something great idea at the headquarters that somebody put their pen together and just threw it out. What I really appreciate is this change. And what will make it institutionalized and will make it stick is the fact that we've gone out and we've talked to the people who actually have done the jobs. We've did countless trips to the Pacific and to Europe and to the DoDEA America. Talk to the people who are performing the functions in an effort to try and do them smarter, but having input and listening to what their concerns are. And that's, I think, a key piece of this.
So how are we progressing then?
I think that it's remarkably complicated. And what I'm particularly concerned about is that we're doing the right thing for the hardworking people who have dedicated their careers to DoDEA. What I don't want to do is do something quickly without the proper thought for the second and third order effects. And I assure everyone who works in DoDEA that we're not taking that approach. You hear the cliche, if you want it bad, you get it bad. Well, there's nothing cliche about that. That's true. And so I would prefer to take the additional time to work through the myriad of personnel issues associated with this restructure. It's absolutely incredible. And not for a minute don't I understand that's going to impact on people. And so what we need to do is very clearly articulate the impacts, give timelines, and as we build this change, to provide as much information and be as transparent as we can to our workforce. And we're in the process of doing that. We have a very vibrant website, and we're going to put a detailed update based on this conversation and more, and have that on the website very shortly. So the more transparency and more information back and forth will, I think, serve all of us well.
Absolutely. You recently returned from Southbridge, Massachusetts, where you brought a group of people together to talk about this. Can you tell us a little bit about the purpose of that meeting and
absolutely.
what transpired?
We're getting to the next steps, Frank, and now we're talking about the actual tasks and how we centralize those tasks to be more efficient, and at the same time allowing those positions to be restructured into instructional support. And again, you have to go to the people who do the functions to make sure that it's going to work. So we had representatives from Europe, the Pacific, the chiefs of staff of all three areas, and it was a remarkable collection of dedicated and talented people. And what I came away with was three things. Number one is that they understood the commitment of the senior leadership to do this right. Number two is I believe they could see the complexity of this and the fact that we were carefully evaluating all the tools of manpower shaping and taking care of our employees. And number three, they were listened to. And they recommended some changes that we will gladly adopt because it makes sense. And who better than the people who are actually working on it? And the fourth thing was we had a young man from the Pacific, and I thought it was kind of cute. It was snowing, shocker, it was snowing in Southbridge, Massachusetts. And he went outside and just simply stood in the snow. It was the first time that he'd ever been to an area where it actually snowed.
Amazing. Yeah.
So the human dimension is important too.
Absolutely. Did you get to what the FBO structure will look like under restructuring?
Yes, we did. And it's about a 99% solution. So it's not, there's still some flexibility, but the guiding light and what positions we see where are set, and they will be published very, very shortly.
So in terms of looking at the business side of the house, Southbridge was a success?
From my perspective, it was a great success because we brought the experts together, because we were listening. And just to remind everyone, this portion was strictly devoted to the business operations, but a small fraction of DoDEA. We had educational leaders there to make sure the educational interests were served, but it's going to affect a very small portion of the workforce.
So were there issues that you weren't able to get to at Southbridge, and how will you deal with those?
Frank, this is probably the most complex change that I think this organization has ever gone through, or many organizations could go through. And again, we're going to do it right, and I want to be sure that we do it right. And so there were issues that we could not resolve in a week, and I knew that would happen. And so what we're going to do now is organize functional area experts to dig deeper into these issues to get the answers. And we're going to call in functional experts, and this will be an opportunity for another opportunity for our workforce to be part of the reshaping effort, rather than just simply being done at headquarters and issued to the workforce. So this is a great opportunity for that commitment and participation, as well as transparency.
And the venue for that will be Tiger teams, I guess? Or?
Yes. We're going to call them Tiger teams. They go by a number of different ways. But what it is a focused group of experts on a issue to get to resolution.
I think when you study organizational change, okay, the most important change that happens revolves around the people aspect.
Right.
So can we talk about those, because they're challenging and they're really important. When will employees know what they need to know about their future in the organization?
What we've done from the beginning is try and keep people informed. And we've got, I think, a very good website, frequently answered questions, frequently asked questions. We've got emails. Maybe we need to improve. And I think we do, because we're getting now to where people will have to make decisions. And I want to be sure that they have all the information necessary to make the right decisions. And so I think you'll see an additional opportunity for more information on the website and more direct, focused information on particular individuals. So I think you'll see more of that going forward, particularly starting to gear up within the next week.
Is there a timeline of sorts when people will find out more information about their particular situation?
The timeline is going to be shaped by the correct information that we can provide our workforce. We're targeting March for the educational side and get as much information to educators as we can, as it will impact on them. Business operations, again, is very, very complex, and what we want to do is carefully evaluate it. Tiger teams will do their research and build upon the answers that they provide. And we're looking about within 3 months to get that information out for the business operations. Tiger teams are focusing on the centralization and how many people do we need to provide those, and what functions do we need to improve, what systems do we need to improve. And so we're focused on that right now. And I don't anticipate any major changes in the business operation until at least a year from now. Once again, doing it correctly over a period of time.
Now, we know that the RSA will result in some changes in the financial and business operations structure. So when will those changes start to take place?
Well, the centralization functions are targeted for the summer to be in place. The actual impact on individuals going forward and the manpower shaping tools associated with that will probably be in the next fall timeframe. But again, it'll be predicated by information being provided and assistance being provided for the employees that it will be affected.
And we have a timeline of the major milestones on
Yes,
the website
as a matter
well.
of fact, and it's difficult to do by words, and I find words go away. So what I want to do is post that on the website so individuals can take a look at it and see a better, more detailed timeline, and we'll have that up.
Earlier in the interview, we talked about why the restructuring of financial and business operations was important. But I'd like to just get your feeling on what it is that financial and business operations folks do in our system that helps with student success, because it's something we often overlook.
Yeah, we do, and we shouldn't. The business operations have a tremendous impact on what we do, and business operations cover everybody. The first person the child sees in the morning is a bus driver. The last person at the end of the day they see is the bus driver. Some of our greatest counselors and mentors are the women and men who serve lunch. Some of the greatest confidants are our janitorial workforce. Everyone's engaged in the process, or should be engaged in the process of education. I don't view business as being set aside and they just do things that have no impact. It's a tremendous impact. The people who work on repair of the schools. Students can't learn, teachers can't teach without a great, robust business operation. We're blessed in DoDEA. We have the resources to provide what's necessary in business operations. So I don't view them as not part of the integral part of the education process. Having said that, we can centralize the business functions, do better, and afford to have some of those positions restructured to provide additional direct instructional support to teachers in the classroom. And I think that that's worthwhile.
Now, we have folks out there that'll say, look, we've reorganized in our long history many times, okay?
Right.
So why is this time different? Why is it going to matter more this time? Why is it going to work?
Yeah, I'm not laughing at the question, Frank. I think of the quote from the Roman generals. So we go back to the Roman times where he said, one of his soldiers said that we trained, we were prepared, and we reorganized once again. So it's been around for a while. Some organizations do it better than others. What I've learned in my time in various organizations is to do a reorganization, it has to be a number of things associated with a correct reorganization. Number one is that people have to understand it, people have to have a voice in it, people have to understand where the vision is going. And so that's number one. Number two is it doesn't need to be based on the personality of the leader. It has to be based on directives changing. It has to be on law that is changing. It has to be on finances and resources that are supporting it to be a valid change. And it has to take time because it's a process. You don't change culture, you don't change organizations simply by saying you're doing that. So we're going about this, I think, in the proper way. We see a 5 to 6 year time frame. We see ample opportunity for people to weigh in. We change accordingly. Everyone knows where we're going, and we put the money associated with making sure we get to where we get to, and then we will get the regulations and the laws necessary to change this. And so I think we're approaching it properly. I think if the director or the senior leaders change tomorrow, I think that the vision is correct, improve student achievement. And so I don't think it's going to be based on what often happens in poor reorganizations, based on the whim and the fancy of a leader who comes and goes.
Where can people go for more information?
Frank, there's at least 3 things I can think of right off the top of my head. We have a very good, I think, robust RSA website. There'll be a very detailed briefing or explanation of what we talked about today, which will be posted even as we speak. We have 2 other venues. One is Get the Facts, where people can send in emails and they are answered, and I review the questions and the answers. And the third is for those who are unique human resources questions. We've established a small human resources opportunities office where people can email them and they can get answers. So the purpose of this is, again, to make sure that people understand where we're going and have an opportunity to ask questions and get some feedback that will help shape what they intend to do in the future.
And those, the links to those and the email addresses are all on our website.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Brady, for joining us today for this talk about RSA. We appreciate your time in the studio. And what is it that you'd like to leave people with thinking about
Well,
this?
Frank, thank you for the opportunity. Number one, as I don't get a chance to talk to the workforce as much as I'd like to. I get out and travel as much as I can with the groups, and it's great questions and answers. But what I come away with is that people are so dedicated to the mission of DoDEA. They're dedicated to improving student achievement for our children. They understand the trust and the honor that we have in our roles to provide that education to service members' children around the world. And so I want to thank them for that dedication. I want to thank them for the support as we go forward. This is a difficult time. Any change is difficult, but it's the right thing. We're changing to improve student achievement. And I'm just delighted that people are starting to get on board to that. And so I thank them for the work that they're doing every day.